Thank you for browsing page 121. In anticipation of Mongoose's release of their Bounty Hunters book soon, I thought we'd take a look at Bounty Hunters from GURPS Traveler. This was published back in 2002. This is a pretty handy little supplement and whet your appetite a little bit for what Mongoose is about to do. Plus, I've had Bounty Hunters on the brain lately, so when I pulled this guy out to read it, I thought, well, I'll take a look at it on the channel. So today, Bounty Hunters and what they can do and what they can't do. Also, real quick reminder, please subscribe if you haven't already. Like and follow the video if you would. And also take a look at the Patreon, see if there's anything you can do to help me out there. Maybe I could get a backdrop and things like that. That's the end of the commercial. Back to the important stuff. GURPS Traveler Heroes 1 Bounty Hunters, today on page 121. GURPS Traveler Heroes 1 Bounty Hunters by Steve Jackson Games. This is under the GURPS system. This is published in 2002, and it should have been Heroes 1 and only, because this is the only Heroes book we got. There's the front, there's the back cover. I paid $8.95 for this handsome tome back in the day. So here we go. I like Bounty Hunters a lot in science fiction role-playing. They work really well in Traveler. They're also a big part of Battletech. We start the book out with a Steve Jackson Games ad for all the various world books. These world books were a lot of fun. I've taken a look at one or two of these on the channel. GURPS Heroes Bounty Hunters by Brian J. Underhill. And then it tells us about GURPS in the introduction. Basically, Bounty Hunters give the players and GMs a resource for bounty hunting in the Traveler game. It tells us a little bit about Brian J. Underhill, who at the time, he has no significant pets, so in 2002, which is unusual for RPG writers. And then goes in, chapter 1 gives us the profession, the bounty hunter. Which kind are you? Are you a freelancer? Are you a company man? Do you have any moral dilemmas where somebody says, I'm innocent, and you have reason to believe that they're telling you the truth, yet you want to make the money and take them in? What do you do? What do you do? Good role playing there. We have skip tracers, repo men, and basically a skip tracer is somebody who is skipping on their bond or the bail bond. It goes in to explain what a bond is. It's money you put up against your appearing in court, and if you decide you're not going to appear in court because you want to get away, you think you'll be found guilty, you go ahead and you skip out on that bond. The bondsman who put up the money wants you back because otherwise he loses the money. That's the entire premise, by the way, of the outstanding Robert De Niro film with Charles Grodin, Midnight Run. It's from 1988. It's a great movie about bounty hunters. De Niro's a bounty hunter taking Charles Grodin from New York to California. He has to do it by midnight Friday, I think it is. Really fun movie, but if you don't like the F-bomb, that's not for you. That gets dropped a ton in that film. But anyway, skip tracers are people that skip the bail. Repo men are the people that go ahead and look for your starship when you've gone ahead and stop making your payments on it, but you're continuing to use the ship. The person who loaned you the money for the ship wants the ship back. And the trade, you have to worry about getting a contract and finding the target. How do you use computers and people in that? Do you do stakeouts? Stakeouts are where you just kind of sit across from a place and watch it with your Mark I eyeball. And once you capture your target, what do you do with your target? Can you hold them? Can you not hold them? How does the Imperium feel about bounty hunters? And this goes into it nicely, and I'm hoping Mongoose covers quite a bit of this territory with their book. Delivery and payment, how do you get paid? You turn the guy over to the local authorities, and then the authorities send on a verification that you captured the individual, so the person who offered the bounty pays you. It depends on how your bounty is and what local laws are. Teammates. Some bounty hunters work with a partner. Others are alone, or they are part of a team or an organization. Bounty hunter organizations. I like this. This is kind of neat. Members, the Regina Free Raiders, a corporation whose membership constitutes a veritable police army, military police army. So there's different ways you can be a bounty hunter. You can work for a company. You can be a freelance bounty hunter, or you can do it part-time as you're traveling about the galaxy as a way to pick up a little extra money. Bounty hunters and the law. And this is the really cool part for me. I like this part of the book because it talks about how If you have an imperial license to be a bounty hunter, that's all well and good. But once you leave the starport, cross the extrality line, and go into the local laws of whatever planet you're on, your bounty hunter license may not be recognized. And instead of being lauded as somebody who's capturing an escaped person and getting the bounty, you might be viewed as a kidnapper. So it's kind of interesting. This is great role-playing opportunities for bounty hunters. I only remember using bounty hunters once in a game. I haven't talked to my players. There might be another time, but I only remember one time I used them, and I had it that an NPC, a friend of theirs, a former scout, and he was a friend of one of the players in my group. The bounty hunter was looking for him on what he said were trumped up charges elsewhere on the planet. And so the game, it was just a one-night game, but the game was basically getting this guy away from the bounty hunter without killing the bounty hunter and without getting their guy captured or killed. It was a lot of fun, a lot of role-playing in that one, a lot of opportunities to kind of build characters. I enjoyed that one. So bounty hunters in the law, it depends on the use of force. They recommend that if he uses a knife, you use a knife. He uses fists, you use fists. Breaking and entering. Sometimes you can break and enter. Again, it depends on the local law. But you can never break into imperial facilities. So a military base or research place, doesn't matter if he's in there or not, don't break in. Restraint. How are you going to restrain him? They recommend low passage for conveying him once you do have him, but you could handcuff him. Again, it's very subject to local ordinances. Local ordinances. And it can cause many problems. What's the law? Know the law where you are, because you'll be bound by it. Bounties, bonds, and contracts. Bail bonds is the midnight run version of the bounty that we're talking about, where it's a bail bondsman who's going to lose a lot of money unless Robert De Niro can get Charles Grodin from New York to California in such time. It's an excellent film. I really like it. It's a kind of a buddy travel comedy, but I like that film a lot. It was funny. My wife and I saw that at the show back in the 80s, and when my boys were older, we said, hey, come on, we're going to watch this movie. And they're, oh, no, I don't want it. And they sat down, they loved it, and the next day, my oldest son went out and bought a copy for himself. So one of multiple times they grumbled about a movie and then ended up loving it. So we get some nice adventure seeds, something I really, really appreciate in any kind of source book like this. I love adventure seeds. During a routine hunt, the PCs find themselves trekking their quarry to Trent's Hope, high-tech but repressed client state just outside the Imperium. Now you've got to deal with the local laws. Maybe they'll throw you in jail. Another adventure seed, the lady vanishes, and another, the wounded pride. And time is of the essence. You only have so long that these bounties are good. Criminal bounties, repossessions, how you find a ship to do a repossession. Imperial licensing. I liked this section a lot. I hope Mongoose touches on imperial licensing. You would have to have some kind of license and probably be bonded too against damages you do with the Imperium. Dead or alive, they go on to say dead or alive are very, very rare, and usually in a case of somebody who has already been convicted of a high crime, treason, murder, that kind of stuff. Usually the bounty is to bring them back alive. Corporate contracts. You could be courier service, freight lines, passenger lines. Maybe you're aboard there just as kind of a sky cop on a passenger line that's been having some trouble lately. Maybe you earn your keep by keeping a little order on there and making sure that there's no real issues with anybody aboard the passenger liner. That's a good way to get travelers from A to B if they don't have a ship. Private contracts. Are you working for a loan shark? Maybe it's an illegal contract. Maybe it's just a flat-out assassination. The Imperium takes a dim view of assassinations, by the way. Animal bounties. Maybe you're out there to keep wolves from eating all the livestock, so you're out there hunting so many wolves, or some alien species equivalent. And then you do adventure seed, the Casco Warrens. Something's killing people down in the mines. Is it the devil in the dark from Star Trek? And then we get a nice look at the hunter. And this is basically the character backgrounds and the stuff you would need. Administrative is a good background. Criminal is a real good background. Former law enforcement is good. Military. Maybe you're seeking vengeance. The film Nevada Smith deals with that with Steve McQueen. And then what races? What do the races do and don't do? Aslan, they do have bounty hunters. Droin really don't. If they had somebody that needed to be brought in for any reason, they would do it as a group. Hivers don't have bounty hunters, but they do have Ithglur Marines. They can do it for them. Kukri really don't have them. Vargir have many, many bounty hunters, and the Zodani don't really use them. Advantages, disadvantages, and skills. This is where we start dropping into some actual GURPS rule stuff. I loved these books, and I loved that they were kind of rules agnostic. You'd get to a section where the rules were in there, and I was fine with that. GURPS is a point-based system. I think I've always thought it reminded me, or it always has reminded me of the old champion system. And then tools of the trade, we get non-lethal weapons, grenades, surveillance equipment, forgery acting in disguise, and then some other stuff from GURPS you could use. And then adventures and campaigns. Again, something I really appreciate in any kind of source book. I like adventures and campaign ideas. Realistic bounty hunting, cinematic campaigns, the lone wolf, scum and villainy, and the other side of the coin, sometimes you're being hunted. Crossover campaigning. Maybe your free traders have time on their hands, so they go ahead and they do a little bounty hunting while their ship is being maintained. Scouts. Maybe they're doing it because some people have been stealing artifacts and such. And then just flat mercenary companies. Maybe somebody's between gigs and he just wants to earn a little money. He decides he's going to be a bounty hunter. And then more adventure seeds, which I always like. Friends and enemies. So we get a nice look at targets. So good examples of targets with fleshed out backstories for you. Always good for the busy GM. Rhiannon Galt, another backstory. Couple of more, and then we get bounty hunters and rivals. These are other bounty hunters that might be on the track as the quarry that you're on. I always appreciate this in any kind of source book like this. So 32 pages, we got a nice index, and then they tell us that they're on the web, Steve Jackson Games, and then the back cover. For $8, $9, back in 2002, I was very happy to get this. I enjoyed reading it then. I enjoyed reading it last night. I have always liked bounty hunters. I think they have a great place in Traveler, but I've always thought that they meshed well with Traveler, and I'm looking forward to the bounty hunter book from Mongoose that's supposed to come out in the next few weeks. So there you have it. That's it for today on page 121. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.